What's our
Yeah.
topic today? What are we talking about?
Well, we could do hit me with your best shot or the other one. Um, the precepts. What would you like to do first?
Let's just do hit me with your best shot. Oh, yeah. How weird is that? So, King Charles had a portrait painted of himself that he was very proud of.
Mhm.
Um, does it show the unveiling here, Tom?
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, I was just the
Just unveiled the latest portrait since his coronation. But people are pointing out some strange things about it. The first thing is that it kind of looks demonic and evil. The next thing is there is a monarch butterfly, which we know are sadly endangered, which we should do something about. But monarchs is usually referencing Project Monarch, which I'll let you research because it is quite shocking and I probably can't talk about it. But the really strange thing is what happens when you flip the portrait upside down and mirror the image. Look at this. Now, this is no editing. It's just mirroring the image and merging them together and putting them upside down. Do you see the goat mouth, the two eyeballs, and the horns? That is Baphomet. If you didn't know, Baphomet is a very weird demonic thing, and they apparently quite have a fond feeling about this ancient deity. Also, the dimensions of this portrait is 8 foot 6 inches by 6 foot 6 inches. So you got a nice 666 in there as well. What else would you expect?
I know. It's hard to deny that. Well, part of me is like, okay, who flips up a painting upside down, cuts it in half, and mirrors it? Like that's kind of a stretch. However, the picture on its own is pretty freaking creepy itself. The fact that he's so proud of this like red, sort of like demonic looking photo, like that's crazy. I mean, that's either super metal or there's something a little more sinister there.
yeah. It's definitely an interesting take. I mean, yeah, who would do that?
Right.
Who like makes an image and then like makes it in such a way they're like, okay, well, if you mirror it and you flip it, it's gonna look like this, and so we're gonna make this a secret subliminal, like, yeah, satanic thing, you know.
Exactly.
The color is
Exactly.
interesting, but you can
But
see it in that room, like it goes with the room, kind of, like the room has like it's like a warm, you know, has like a warm tone. You can see the background.
yeah.
Uh, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not
I
sure.
don't know. I gotta do some, well, I'm actually not going to do any research on Project Monarch, but I can only assume that it is would have to do with all the things that freak me out with
Yeah, I don't know. I
kids
don't know
and
what
all
it
that
is
kind of
either.
stuff. Yeah.
I,
I
I
can
don't
only imagine. So my imagination is imagining the worst based off of his not wanting to say what it is. So there you go. Yeah, super weird. Like, I guess, if you have lots of money, I mean, I could see me doing it or you doing it like as metalheads, but a king, like that's kind of a boldly kind of scary painting for a king, in my
yeah,
opinion.
totally. Yeah, I think the dimensions of the painting are weird too, though. Like that's weird.
The
Like,
8 by 666. Yeah, totally.
yeah, like so like both things together, or all three things, the butterfly, whatever that means, I'm sure it's really bad. And
Yeah.
then the fact that you can mirror the image like that, and then the dimensions, it's like, you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
you don't believe in coincidences. You know what I mean?
We
Kind of
don't. We don't. And well, first of all, it's funny watching him in his tin hat, but I'm like, ooh, that's me. Maybe instead of this hat, I should be wearing a tin hat. But I mean, it is becoming, in my opinion, like acts like this, and a lot of people think we're kind of in this holy war, more overt showings like this where they're not necessarily hidden anymore. It's more like in your face kind of stuff. So this very much feels sort of in your face for sure.
Yeah, it does. It's very in your face. All right, I
Yeah.
got another one for you.
It kind of reminds me of that painting from Ghostbusters too, like the original
Oh yeah,
Ghostbusters. It reminds me of that too, which
100%.
was haunted. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Vigo or something.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
what it
that's what
reminds
his
me of.
name was. I
Maybe
love
that's his hero. Maybe he
I
just likes
love
Ghostbusters a lot.
I love that movie growing up. It is so much like that. You're right. Like the colors are the same. It's yeah, it's very creepy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
All
haunted,
right. Here's another
haunted
one.
poster. Okay. Who is that?
James Hetfield.
Is this recent? Oh man.
Says James concentrates before going on stage.
Is that what we're calling concentration? Damn, dude. That's a little disheartening because I know he's struggled really hard in and out of rehab. I don't know that that was vaping right there. Also interesting because he's just on tour with Five Finger Death Punch. They were over in Europe together, and Ivan Moody, the lead singer of Five Fingers, is sober, and so I would assume they're, like somewhat of a bit of a support system there. Were they coming to take him out? What was happening?
No, it's just him concentrating before he goes on stage. It's so like
Concentrating smoking though? That's what's throwing me. Is that weed? Like what's happening? Is that just a cigarette?
I think it's just cigar because
A
he's not
cigar?
really inhaling. He's like just like puffing on a cigar
Okay.
and he's like having a moment before he has to perform for 2 hours, probably, you know?
Yeah. You think there's like some meditation happening here? Yep. He
Yeah,
did
I think
the
they're,
he
yeah,
did
he's
the
like,
hand thing. He's doing some deep meditation. Interesting though. I guess what's interesting for me is that he's doing that publicly. He's not like it backstage doing that. He's doing it right there front and center for all these people to see, which is very interesting.
yeah, quite the backstage right there, you know? Like,
Right. Right. But he's
you know,
surrounded
better
by
spot.
people. Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird. Yeah, there's like, yeah, there you see the phone like hanging out there. Somebody's filming him. Yeah, he's
Hmm. Yeah. He's not backstage at all.
puffing
So
on. It looks like, yeah, I think it's like a cigar or something. But I'm wondering what I'm just seeing what people are. It says it looks like he's praying. Somebody commented, "Don't show your weaknesses, James." Uh,
right.
yeah, that's funny. There's not actually that many. Oh, there's a lot of likes, but not
Yeah.
many comments. As I thought. Oh, I have to click this little thing here. Um, wow, lots of different languages here in the comments. I just thought you would
Well,
like, I thought you'd
you
get a kick out of that because it's, yeah, it is like, what's he doing? You know?
what's he doing? Yeah, is that a mocha in his hand? Like what's he drinking there?
No, it looks like it kind of looks like it has a rim, like a salt rim or something around it, but I
Yeah.
can't be sure, you know?
Damn. Well,
Yeah.
hopefully he was crushing it. I mean, because of his struggles with being in and out of rehab, maybe this is like his routine that he does before every show.
Yeah.
To pre prepare himself mentally. I know there's like a lot of different aversion therapy type things. Like instead of smoking a joint, just smoke a cigar. And instead of drinking a shot, drink your coffee latte, whatever it is. So maybe that's what he's doing. But again, it's just super odd to me that it's almost like public, like he's going through this little process in a public type forum. Very interesting.
Yeah, not something you get to see every
Yeah.
day. It's like he
No.
yeah, has a moment where he like closes his eyes and he's taking some deep breaths in. He's kind of
Yeah.
calming his nerves. I mean, the guy, and maybe he still
Do
has,
you have nerves after 30 years of performing? Do you think you still have nerves?
I mean, all it takes is like a couple mistakes here and there on a tour, and they just haunt you. Feel like
Wow.
you just worry about
Mm,
making a mistake or like forgetting a line, and so then there's like that moment, right, where you're like, oh my gosh, like you just start getting anxious about making a small mistake. I mean, you're Metallica.
damn. Yeah. Yeah. Well, and they're headlining gigantic, like huge venues of,
Yeah.
I don't know, 50, 100,000 people. Like it's crazy. That is a lot of people to be performing in front of.
Yeah, exactly. I
Mm,
mean, even if I would think, even if you made a mistake, no one would really like, I mean, a majority wouldn't catch it. The people that did would probably, excuse you, like
for
it's
sure.
only natural. But, yourself as the artist, perfectionist,
Mm,
like really, um, you put a lot of pressure on yourself. I'm sure he puts a lot of pressure on himself.
yeah.
Yeah, it's just a cool
Oh,
moment.
I kind of just want to give him a hug. Like
Yeah,
you got this, man. I just want to give the guy a hug.
he just needed some space.
He's like, that's the last thing I want is a hug.
Yeah.
I'm in my zone, man.
He's got what I don't know exactly what that. He had a bottle of water there at the end too. So he had some kind of cigar. It looks like a cigar, and then some kind of drink. I don't know. Maybe it's iced coffee. Who knows what it is?
Yeah.
Um, and then some water. So he has like those three things. He's meditating. There's security watching him.
Yep.
And there's
Everyone
like
making sure he's cool.
yeah, what do they call that? Like the song before the band comes out. What's that called?
The
Uh
intro.
I guess. I forget. I don't know if there's like a technical name for it, but yeah, the intro, you can hear it. All right, I got another one.
All right, let's see it. Good job.
Secret on Earth. An underground complex 300 kilometers long with 6 to 7 million bodies, and we're supposed to believe it's because too many people got sick and hungry, or might they be hiding what remains of the old world? And that's just the one in Paris. These catacombs are all over the world. Just a theory, entertainment purposes only. So, why is there a labyrinth of corpses under the city of Paris in the first place? History tells us in the late 18th century, so many people were dying from disease and famine that they started running out of cemetery space to bury them. Bodies were piling up so much they were causing odors throughout the city. So King Louis XVI ordered his authorities to fix this problem. In 1785, they uncovered an old underground tunnel system called the Tombe Issoire quarries, which were used as limestone quarries hundreds of years earlier to build famous sites like Notre Dame. They repurposed these tunnels to relocate all the bones from the overpopulated cemeteries over the course of about 12 years, and did so with an air of secrecy. To not raise panic among the citizens, of course. His site was officially called the Paris Municipal Ossuary and eventually began to take on the mythical name of the Catacombs. The first thing anyone notices about these subterranean graves is the intricate, almost ritualistic design of the human remains. The bones weren't just stashed away in large heaps, as one might expect would be the case for a disposal project as this one, but were organized in a decorative fashion, aligning femurs with skulls along the walls, geometric patterns, a throne of bones, and even this famous centerpiece known as the barrel, which, according to sources, were all put in place by the average 18th century quarrymen. They were led by official quarry engineers like Louis Etienne d'Artillerie, but still peculiar to see. In fact, the architecture was so nice that in 1809, the catacombs were even open to the public for tours, which only the rich could afford. Ritualistic sites involving the deceased attended by only the elite class? Some things never change. Now, why on earth would a literal mass grave be so intricately decorated for presentation in a borderline victorious manner, like they were celebrating something? But no, they were just moving some bones out of the way, nothing to see here. Let's do some math. 6 to 7 million bodies moved over the course of 12 years, as claimed, means 57 to 67 bodies moved every hour, night and day for 12 years straight. That's one body, which contains several bones, moved into place in carefully designed patterns every minute, day and night, non-stop for 12 years, which could be possible given a sizable workforce. Just quite impressive to say the least, especially given their incredible design. But the question does arise, where do you get 6 to 7 million bodies in a city with a population of just about 600,000 at the time? That's 10 times times the population of Paris in the 1780s, and even about 3 times Paris's population today. I understand these bodies have accumulated over centuries, but the population was even lower in previous generations. Not to mention, even most bones do decompose and become extremely brittle within 100 years, so where did all these remains come from? Disease and famine is the main explanation we're given. Even Great Britain was having the same problem of overflowing cemeteries around the same time. It's almost like there was an old world here before us that got wiped out in a short period of time, and they needed a place to hide all the bodies, which reveals these Paris catacombs were merely the tip of quite an extensive shaft. As we see hidden mass grave sites like these all around the world, like in Odessa, Ukraine, home to the largest catacombs in the world. 2,500 kilometers of tunnels dug into limestone bedrock dating to about the 17th century. Also used as a quarry and never officially to store bones of the deceased, but the majority of these tunnels haven't even been explored yet. Documentation of these catacombs is extremely limited, almost like they didn't want anyone to know what's down there, with large areas even being off limits to the public. Rumors claim that up to 1 million bodies may be buried down there, but on record, there's none, which is kind of odd given they're officially called the Odessa Catacombs halfway around the world. The Basilica and Convent of San Francisco, a cathedral in Lima, Peru, has its own network of catacombs underneath. And again, what do we see here? Human bones arranged in a decorated manner, eerily similar to the ones in Paris, kind of like they were built as an award, trophy, or accomplishment of some sort. Estimated to hold at least 25,000 bodies, with some claiming up to 70,000, or so we're told, as these haven't been explored much either, with many smaller catacombs under other churches in the surrounding area, all believed to be connected, possibly bringing the body count of this network into the hundreds of thousands, maybe millions, but just speculation. The Lima catacombs weren't even publicly rediscovered until 1943, despite starting construction in 1546. Now, why put so much effort into designing yet another artistic mass grave site just to keep it hidden for hundreds of years? Just like the Brno ossuary in Czech Republic, again under a church and rediscovered as recently as 2001, despite being used in the 18th century, and this one has an estimated 50,000 bodies, but as always, it could be more. Organized in the fun geometric patterns we see everywhere, almost like the same group of people did this around the world. And like, why? Why put in so much artistic architectural design made of human remains into an underground crypt that no one is ever supposed to see, allegedly constructed by your average 18th century quarrymen? Because, you know, they all had degrees in advanced architectural design back then. Some sources even admit they appear to be arranged in a ritualistic manner, like the ones who built them were trying to achieve something more than just a gravesite. And what about those underground crypts they've been finding in places like New York City? Are there more of these hidden all around the world? St. Stephen's Cathedral in Vienna, Austria, catacombs with about 11,000 bodies. The catacombs of Rome, once said to host hundreds of thousands of the deceased, but have largely since been emptied. Under the Church of St. Paul's beneath the island of Malta, more catacombs. This list is endless. Almost always found directly under a church or cathedral. The obvious answer is they want to honor the dead by burying them under places of worship. Unless it was the churches that were strategically built on top of the catacombs. A perfect hiding spot for mass graves that nobody would accidentally stumble upon while keeping the majority of their known tunnels off limits to the public. These are just the ones we know about. There could be many more under major cathedrals in every city. So did all these places just happen to have body overpopulation issues in the past they solved by ceremoniously decorating underground caverns with skulls and femurs? And today, we're A-okay, despite global population skyrocketing. Or maybe there was something back then that resulted in a huge spike of bodies. Fires. Almost every single major city has had their own great fire that took place in the last 400 years or so. Try it out. Search up the Great Fire of your city name and you're almost guaranteed to find something. Great fires in every city, mass graves largely unexplored under their streets. Was there an old world, a lost civilization as recent as the 1700s that was wiped from the earth and intentionally hidden from records? Some mystery enthusiasts say yes. Before the Great Fires, there was rumored to be a great global empire that rhymes with barbarian. I don't even know if I want to get into that. And who knows, maybe these catacombs are just totally innocent and none of this is true.
I mean, I knew there was all
creepy,
these,
huh?
it's super creepy. Yeah. So I knew there was tons of these over in Europe, and I've even seen some. There was one, I think it was in England a long time ago when I was over there. I went in there and it was a museum of bones like that. And it's said, and it just gives you this feeling when you're in there. So all the priests had donated their bodies to this museum. So as you're walking through it, you see all the different body parts in like the lights and the walls. It looked very similar to that. But for this particular museum, they were saying, you know, it was, you know, they were more than happy to donate their bodies for the art and for the, you know, all this kind of stuff. But to that degree, that's pretty crazy. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah. That's probably one of those more like scary, creepy reels that
Yeah.
I've come across
So was
recently.
that Lima, San Francisco? Like I was confused by that because I'm like San Francisco,
Brazil.
Lima, those don't like go together for me. Yeah.
No, Brazil.
Okay,
It's
good. Thank God. At least thank God it's not here. I mean, I would say being like probably the youngest country, maybe we don't have that over here in the United States. But you never know.
I know. Yeah. It's like, could you imagine being a part of that like operation? Like it just doesn't seem human to be a part of an operation like that. Like, oh, I'm
Right.
just gonna neatly stack bones. That just doesn't seem like, you know, you think about you know, people that what do they call them that like deal with dead bodies?
Morticians,
Morticians,
coroners. Yeah.
coroner morticians. You think about them, like they're kind of a rare breed, right?
Right.
Like those people are a rare breed. Could you imagine an operation like that? Like it,
But again, what's the purpose? Like, is it religious? Like, we're honoring these bodies? Like, what is the purpose? Like he said, to be building this underground where nobody's going to even see it, but to go through all that work to arrange all the bones. Like, that's kind of crazy.
yeah, I have no idea.
Well, I can say, even just from that small museum that I went into with all the bones, it is a creepy feeling being surrounded by all that. No doubt about it.
I don't know if I'd want to go in there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty creepy. I mean, you know, I've been to other museums, Rosie
Anything,
Krishna Museum, all that, where there's old bones and stuff, but that's a whole nother level when you're just surrounded top to bottom with body parts as art.
yeah, well, yes, just yeah, and for them to be like the bones, like the bodies, they would the all the skin and everything would need to be taken off them. You know,
Right.
like what does that process look like? And to do that with that many people,
Yeah.
that's why he was saying fires,
Fires, famine, something.
right? You know, like because like they wouldn't stack, like it wouldn't be like a severed head with skin on it, you know, and then it wouldn't stack it there. It would be, it looks like it was already like just the bones, right? And it takes a long time for
Right.
a body to decompose and whatnot.
I would think they'd have to like boil the bones. Like they'd have to like,
Well,
that's what they'd have to do to get all the skin and everything off, is boiling.
yeah, I guess so. It seems like I remember there's that scene in the first Predator movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger where he's like using the Predator, the alien bad guys, like using some device on his like arm to
Yeah.
like clean off a skull. And it's like shooting like something on it, and he's like
Yeah.
setting these, you know, human skulls like on this like in this tree like as a trophy. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like an
That,
altar place.
like an altar, yeah. And
Yeah.
it seems like, yeah, it doesn't seem like very human. You know what I mean? To do something like that, to like stack all these skulls in a geometric pattern, that doesn't seem like something we would do out of respect. You know, it seems like a message. Like,
Or some kind of, yeah, either like sacrifice or evoking something by somehow the power from all the bones and the dead bodies of something. Yeah.
hmm,
I,
I didn't think
seems a
about
little
that.
sinister. Seems a little sinister.
Yeah, and the fact that there's multiple locations in different continents with similar patterns
Yeah.
is
Well,
really
and how do we not have an explanation from it? You know, all these years later, why is there no explanation for this? How is that not carried down the line? It's just like, oh, look what we found. This underground place with all these millions of
yeah.
dead bodies and this cool designs. It's like,
Where's the history? Where's that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Why isn't that written? You know,
Yeah.
somewhere and
Super creepy.
passed down? Like this is what happened. You know,
Yeah.
like oh my great 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 grandfather worked on the catacombs. I mean, I haven't looked into it beyond that. And I mean, you know, who, like, I'm thinking about like lyrics where the catacombs are mentioned, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
I honestly didn't really know what the heck
Yeah.
that was.
Well, for sure, I know they would just build over and over and over and over. So that's why they're down there, is because as opposed to like ripping everything down and starting over, they would just like bury it and then start over. And then we're like, we're done with this world, bury it and start over. And that's why there's like so many layers going down so many years, is because in Europe, that was what they do. They just bury it and start over and bury it and start over. So that was how they handled apparently either the bodies or whatever they were handling over there.
Yeah, they're handling something. Yeah, it's famine. That's what I guess that's the official explanation, right?
Yeah, or fire. Yep.
Famine seems, yeah, interesting, right?
Yeah, creepy.
Yeah,
Super creepy.
Anyways, that's what I got for you.
Oh, thanks, Tom. Now I'm like left with this like uneasy kind of feeling. I'm like, oh shit.
Oh, I mean,
Are we next? Like, is that going to happen?
I had the James Hetfield one in there, you know. I thought that was
Thank God. That was awesome.
a little lighter next time.
Yeah. I mean, I've honestly been waiting for you to show me the picture of Trump getting shot with his ear and fist pumping. Is like, wow, that's like iconic right there. But I also understand, you know, we don't
Seen
love
that. I know I wouldn't be hitting you with anything you haven't seen, you know.
This is true. This is
Yeah,
absolutely true. Thanks, Tom. You did great.
Well
Talk
done.
to you soon.
All
All
right.
right. Bye.